accept refugee claimants. So that's where I was talking about the mass arrivals. But I do thank you for your answer, sir. I just want to switch over to biometrics and fingerprints and photographs. And I'm going to direct my question to Mr. Randev. Are you familiar with the biometrics? And
Yes.
Yes, you are.
Yeah.
And you're aware that Canada is forging forward with that. Same with other countries like Australia, United Kingdom, United States. I'm just. We have and I think you may have mentioned it, or someone mentioned it here today, that sometimes when people are here illegally or fraudulently, that it sometimes can take 4 to 5 years. And I think someone mentioned $1,500 to $15,000 to try and remove someone. And I'm just wondering whether you agree that the strategy of biometrics, moving to biometrics so we can stop the person from actually coming on to or crossing into Canadian borders and being here in Canada is a good thing to do. Is it a good strategy for Canada? So the people that, and I'll give you an example, someone that has come here multiple times, fraudulent documentation, changed their name multiple times, et cetera, et cetera. Do you think biometrics is going to stop those people from getting back into Canada?
Yeah, I'm totally in favor of biometrics because, as you mentioned, as I was aware of this biometric mechanism is, we try to check persons, we take person's fingerprints and live picture of that person. And in my view, that will definitely help in protecting our security system in terms of if the person is coming here for multiple times. And for example, it's the same person, if we have the same person's information already in our system, and if that person is trying to enter again into Canada by some other changing his or her identification or something, definitely this biometric will help in checking those kind of people.
Thank you very much. The Privacy Commissioner actually claims that there is a failure rate of 1%. Which is common to the biometric system. I'm just wondering what remedies, if any, do you think that people should be available to people who are erroneously matched through biometrics? So it's been a mistake.
Okay. So in that case, what I was, going to put for some of my opinion is, even when the person is asked or applicant is asked for a security check overseas, that person usually go directly to the security agencies. For example, like in India, for example, if the visa officer asks for police clearance certificate, it is already done by the authorities in that particular region, and that is submitted to the visa post. And why don't we do this way that it should be the visa post who asks for the security check to the concerned authority directly in that country, so that the information which is being provided by the applicant is correct, and that way we are directly connected with the officials of that country. For example,
we have to move on. I'm sorry, Mr. Davies.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you to both witnesses for being here. I'll be sharing my time with Madame Groguet. I just want to reassure the witnesses, and as the Chair pointed out, that visas are part of this study. Although we're studying the general security of the system, visas are part of it. And, I want to focus a bit on something you, Mr. Randev, pointed out, and Mr. Greenholz, I know you have experience with. You mentioned that the rejection rate in Chandigarh is 53% of everybody who applies for visitor visa. Now, we're often told that the reason for that is security, is that there's a lot of fraud around Chandigarh, there's forged documents, there may be security concerns, or there's a fear that the people who come to Canada won't return. Now, we know that we don't have exit controls in Canada, so we really have no idea when people come to Canada whether they stay or leave. But I just want to know what your comment and experience on that is, because I'll lead you with my experience, which is I have a lot of people coming to my office, and I think a lot of MPs do, particularly Indian families, who are not security risks or fraud or forgery or any of those things are involved at all. Their relatives are simply denied visas. And it leads me to believe that maybe a lot of people are being rejected for visas under the grounds of security, but that those grounds are not necessarily real. And Mr. Greenholz, I know that you were an immigration officer in an overseas embassy, and I think you did process visitor visas. So I'd be interested to hear both of your comments on are people being turned down for visas in large numbers for reasons other than security grounds in your experience, and if so, do you have any suggestions to the committee?
Yes, Mr. Don. I don't think this is the primary reason. Because of the security reason, they are rejecting all the visas. In my view, there is some generic view of all the visa officers in that region. They have some general opinion regarding all the applicants who are applying. There might be, forged documents along with the application and so on. But in my opinion, this is not the case. There are families, they are well-to-do families, they are rich families, they have properties in Punjab, and they have good ties with their home country. Even then, they have the same generic form, the same template they are taking all over again. I'm not satisfied that you will come back after staying in Canada. And I don't really understand how a visa officer can judge a person without proper analysis of that case and proper interview with that person. Majority of the cases, they are being rejected even without interview. And I doubt about the visa officer's decision, because there's a general view in visa officer's mind that in particular that region, those applications, they are being rejected. Just they have some generic view in their mind. Okay, I have to reject this application without any proper going through that application.
Thank you, Mr. Randev. I just wanted to say, Mr. Grills, before we turn to you, you mentioned you.
Thank you. Mr. Lamoureux.
First and foremost, I do appreciate the two of you and the presentations that you made. You reaffirm many of my thoughts and beliefs. And as I'm sitting and listening and having had the opportunity to read a little bit more of your presentation, Mr. Greenholz, what came across my mind is how wonderful it would be to have individuals from Chandigarh and some of these other embassies actually listening to what is being said. I don't think you're alone. You'll find that there's many members of Parliament that kind of get that same sense of frustration as to why it is we're getting so many temporary visas being denied, and individuals that should be approved, quite frankly. They want to come for funerals, weddings, all sorts of wonderful, great reasons why they should be allowed to visit Canada, and it's sad that we get the number that we get turned down. Having said that, I do want to pick up on this whole procedural fairness. Is there a better way in which we can allow for individuals that are having to apply for visiting visas that would make it not only efficient but more fair? As a suggestion, for example, some might say that we should allow for the applications to be received on via the internet, and then have, if it's being rejected, then the individual be afforded the opportunity to visit an embassy to make presentation. Do you have any thoughts on that particular idea, or anything else that could allow for that sense of fairness that seems to not be there today? And maybe Mr. Greenholz and then Randev, if you don't mind commenting.
Okay, first of all, I'd like to mention a few things here. I don't know what kind of security concerns are there if Miss Kaur is having cancer and she wants to see her mom at the last moment, and I don't see visa officer is looking at any security concern. And in second case, when Chui's mom was murdered in Toronto, and I think this is just their preset mindset, visa officer, they just want to put a stamp on for the refusal. I don't see there is any security concern. He's looking into those particular humanitarian ground cases. And on the other side, if, some applicant applied to visit Canada, to visit his family, or if you want to come for tourism, I told you, like, there is we can put some option here. It should be optional. There should be another option with the visa officer. He can ask for a bond. If the visa officer is not satisfied, okay, I want 15,000 or 20,000 or bond, and when you come back, and here's your money. And if he doesn't comply with the condition, then bond will be forfeited. And my concern is...
minutes, and then Mr. Greenholz, if you don't mind providing comment on it, if that's okay, not to.
Yeah.
That's it. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Weston.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and Mr. Randev for being here with us, and also Professor Greenholz. I guess we have three things in common.
Thank you. Ms. Sitzabeisen.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So my first question, Mr. Randev, you mentioned that the denials of temporary resident visa permits have an impact on our tourism industry, and you mentioned the specificity of British Columbia, where you come from. So working with your clients and the experiences that you've had, can you describe some of the impacts that to families actually living in Canada, the impacts on the Canadian families when they're denied, a family member is denied the access to come visit important occasions like that of a funeral, like the example that you did give? Expand a little bit on some of those examples.
Yeah, thank you for asking the question. Okay, as you asked first regarding tourism industry, I'm really feeling sad here for Canada because we are going down to number 15 in the world now. In year 2000, we were on the 8th place, and now we are not on the top 10, and we are on 15, and we are going down and down. The main reason behind this is the people, they want to visit Canada, they want to explore Canada, but they are not being given opportunity to explore Canada, come here, spend money, and the refusal rate is so high, and people they are getting discouraged, and they don't want to. This is one of the opinion in their mind is if the Canada refuse their visa, UK and Australia refuse their visa, and that's why they don't even go for Canada to try, okay, if Canada issues us a tourist visa or not. This way, we are losing a lot of revenues in this industry. And just for the security's sake, if we are disturbing the other industry, if we are losing a lot of billions of dollars in the other industry, I don't think it's a fair treat in names of security visa officers just refusing the cases of the applicants. And in terms of families, families in Canada, they have their roots overseas. They have their families, they have their friends, and they want to visit Canada. In those kind of cases, they should be given an opportunity to visit Canada. I don't know what kind of integrity we have in our system where a son cannot attend his mother's funeral, or a woman cannot see her mom at her last stage. We are not known for this kind of integrity in the world. Our standards are going down. And that's why this is the time to act now, otherwise it will be too late. In people's opinion, if you see this report by a Canadian Chamber, they ask people, about Canada? You know what the answer was? The answer was, okay, he asked, when I travel abroad, few people in other hemispheres have any clue about Canada's tourist destination. Their view is the entire nation is snowy tundra, with polar bears and caribou roaming the mostly unpopulated countryside. They have no clue what Canada is. So we have to promote the visitor visa so that people can visit. I totally understand the security is also one of the issue, but on the other side, we are affecting the other industry too.
A minute now.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Greenholz, Mr. Randev, we have come to the end, and I thank you very much for your presentations. And on behalf of the committee, thank you for coming and talking to us.
Thank you.
Thank you. So, ladies and gentlemen, next week we will continue on with the report with witnesses. On the 13th, we will have estimates with the minister for an hour and the staff for an hour. This meeting is, excuse
For the staff.
Excuse me?
Minister or staff, which one's first?
The minister will be first.
Thank you.
Okay? We're adjourned.